Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. Today I want to take you through an in-depth look at one of the most immersive war films in recent memory, 1917, directed by Sam Mendes, released in 2019. This World War I epic took the world by storm with its incredibly ambitious production approach that makes it feel like the entire story unfolds in one sweeping, continuous shot. Back when the movie 1917 was released, I read many articles on its production and cinematography, and I wanted to watch this particular film since then. Somehow I forgot about this masterpiece. Whenever I wanted to watch this film, something else would come up and I end up postponing it. But last day I took my laptop, switched off the lights, and watched the film in one stretch identical to how the movie was portrayed. The film really shook me off right from the start. I always knew it would be a one-shot film and wanted to experience it utmost. Also, I really movies with historical background, contrary to who I was back in high school. Talking about one shot apart, the one appearing cut, when Lance Corporal William Schofield gets shot by a German soldier near the destroyed bridge at Écoust-Sainte-Mine. It really never makes it evident to the audience that the film was shot using multiple shots and cuts. The editors have done a brilliant job hiding it. Most of the cut happens when the camera moves through a door or when the scene became pitch black. However, it is in fact true that almost all the shots were of 8 or more minutes long, which makes it harder for the actors and extras to remember the script and act accordingly for straight 8 minutes. The crew also had massive disadvantage with lighting, as for the sake of continuity. The director had to choose shooting during clouds, as on a brighter day the shadows would keep changing. One other key element of 1917's immersive style is its sound design. To complement its continuous visuals, 1917 uses intricate sound design to further absorb viewers. The film often employs diegetic battle sounds like gunfire, explosions, and artillery that transition seamlessly from one sequence to the next. The Oscar-winning sound team even crafted unique footstep sounds for the different terrains the soldiers encounter. These immersive audio details make it feel like we are embedded in the surroundings. The vivid cinematography also plays a major role captivating the audience. Roger Deakins' cinematography is crucial for bringing the nightmarish war landscapes to life. The camera moves through trenches, bombed-out buildings, muddy battlefields, and more, revealing striking imagery. With thin-frame movement and dynamic camera work, creates a palpable sense of urgency and danger, as if we are navigating the environments along with the characters. The film bears witness to the staggering destruction wrought by the war, and yet it is a fundamentally human story about two young and inexperienced soldiers racing against the clock. So it adheres more to the form of a thriller than a conventional war movie. Mendes tells Vanity Fair's Anthony Breznican, stitching, the challenge of transitions. There are a few things they always had to consider when getting sutures. The desire for the camera to feel very natural often dictated how they would approach a stitch. Whether it was a straightforward 2D blend morph, 2.5D, or a full 3D conversion, the action definitely made a difference, but you never wanted to unravel the magic trick. The odd thing about this film was that, according to the plot summary, it was not meant to be a visual effects film. It is not meant to be a huge show, so if something draws your attention, or if you notice that the performer's choreography or the camera is not functioning straight immediately, you are not being as inconspicuous as you should be. That was a crucial factor. The other very important consideration that made life challenging was that they decided to never try to hide the transitions. They never wanted to lose the actors by saying, "Hey, here's a tree and we're going to blend when the actor goes behind the trees." There were some shots where they did kind of do that, but they never lost the actors. If they transitioned behind someone, they always made sure there was an arm of the actor or a leg or the face was always in frame. Sam didn't want the transitions to feel like they were hiding something, because if they did that, the audience was going to feel like that's exactly what they were doing. Making a plane crash. The mirror shot from the film Contact is one of my all-time favorite VFX shots. You eventually become aware that you are watching this motion through a mirror, but there is something about it that prevents you from becoming distracted. You might not even notice it if you are not paying close attention, but once you do, you will think, wow, what a fantastic point of view. Additionally, technically speaking, your brain bursts. What I appreciate about the plane crash is that you can actually see the characters as the plane crashes right next to them after a combat in the sky, and the pilot is eventually dragged out of the wreckage. The jet has been blazing behind them for the next 5 minutes according to the scene. It combines numerous diverse techniques. When the planes are flying, they are computer-generated quadi, and when one of them descends toward the characters and crashes into a barn, there is some CG destruction before the plane changes to a blue-screen special effects replica. They constructed the replica and a portion of the barn, and they only took elements. The plane would be accelerated into a wooden area while fireballs were being released, and it would subsequently catch fire. The actors are shown on the first plate without any kind of plane. After the plane crashes, they go to a special effects plane in computer graphics. The first plate is then supplemented with that mixture. The transition to the third plate occurs as the characters get up to go rescue the pilot. In this plate, the plane is on fire and the pilot is inside. Typically, you can use editing to make a shot like the plane crash feel more dynamic after doing an establisher, a reaction shot, etc. But in this instance, where they were unable to edit, the choreography was everything. Through Equist, here Schofield sprints through Equist's ruins after crossing a bridge, fending off a sniper and dodging hostile fire. He is rushing away through the shadows of the demolished buildings, all of which are illuminated by moving flares, and this scene has one of the special effects I love from the film. Dominic Toohey, the SciFX supervisor, collaborated closely with Roger Deakins to create an effects rig for flares. To truly produce the large shadows Roger and Sam were targeting, the flares had to be fired for 22 seconds and travel 130 feet. The illumination was produced by those large objects moving over the scene on winches. I do not believe I have ever seen a lighting setup for special effects. Later, a burning church is created using VFX and real lighting. Roger built large, stackable lighting systems. It would pulse at various rates to resemble flames. They took that out, destroyed everything in front of it, and put a burning church in its place. They were able to scan, simultaneously demolish, and set fire to the interior of a church in France. They had to extend the set quite a little because the entire set was constructed on the Shepperton Studios backlot. It is a sizable area, and all of the architecture was present and near to the actor when they scanned it to recreate an expanded representation of the village. River rapids. They had to connect the settlement to the region of the bridge when Schofield jumps off as he sprints towards the water. He is thus seen sprinting around the Shepperton backlot, while the following photograph shows him at the Tees Barrage International Whitewater Centre, a whitewater venue that was used for the London Olympics. As he approaches the bridge, you need to start to see the river and its banks. Therefore, they had to build the entire area around him. For the section where he jumps in, they switched to CG shots at this point. They then changed the entire setting when he is in the water at the water park. The reason they chose to film it in a water park was to try to regain control. They needed to be able to place an actor in a secure setting while still having white water and rushing water nearby, since it is far too unsafe to walk into a genuine river. And you cannot really film someone in the water this manner. You cannot really shoot it in a tank like you might other water sequences. Therefore, they needed Schofield and the water to interact right away. The rest may all be digital. The habitat, as well as all the water that flows with it, had to be created. Stitches made it harder still. The actor as well as the water and splashes needed to be blended when they started sewing in the river. It was really complicated. For example, they would take a splash from the first plate and extend it in computer graphics to the second plate so it flowed from one plate to the next and you did not have to think about it too much. Probably the most complex sequence was that one. Sam also wanted the river's route to appear perilous, complete with both white water and protruding sharp rocks. You should not actually take a chance with items that are extremely harmful, even in a controlled atmosphere. Therefore, to simulate the rebound of the water against rocks that were not actually there, SFX erected a number of air pumps at the bottom of the canal. Then they added the rocks to make the path more hazardous and to cause a few near misses. The final trench run, many very massive genuine explosions, were used in this scene. There were numerous extras in addition to the main actor and the explosives, as well as the camera. Rocheron noted during the VFX bake-off that the actor was hit twice during the last trench run but still stood up and continued. The crew continued filming because it was crucial to get the take, because it contained numerous real explosions. As Schofield enters a full run, the camera has to be on jeeps in order to pull back at the necessary pace. A few transitions were used in the shot to combine various shots for the optimum performance and connect two different sets. A lot of it is practical FX, but they did stuff like make the ground to conceal the explosives for the explosions. They also returned the next day to the same spot and shot a number of other elements, some of which were quite away from Schofield and others of which they combined into the final photos. My favorite scene involves an explosion that occurs just behind the camera such that the image can be tracked back into the explosion's original smoke. You truly got the impression that the entire battlefield was involved, not just what was happening in front of the camera. Here are a few other key facts and details about the film. Pre-production took 9 months, during which Mendes and the crew extensively planned out the film's incredibly complex long takes. This involved extensive storyboarding and rehearsing with the actors. The film was shot in just 3 months in 2019. Principal photography took place in the UK, including in Salisbury Plain, Hankley Common, Goverton, and Shepperton Studios. Some filming also occurred in Scotland. The one-take approach required shooting up to 10-minute-long intricate tracking shots without cutting. This was achieved using a specialized rig that allowed the camera to move in all directions smoothly. These extended shots were extremely difficult to coordinate and often took multiple takes. The crew rehearsed extensively, and all the logistics had to perfectly come together for such a long, continuous shot to work. While made to look like one take, the film actually contained some hidden cuts. Transitions between shots were disguised using careful planning, camera movement, lighting changes, etc. Over a mile of trenches were dug specifically for the production to create an immersive World War I setting. The crew went to great lengths to recreate the historical environments. Cinematographer Roger Deakins used his signature style of naturalistic lighting and silhouettes to convey the landscapes and action in a gritty, realistic way that stands out. The challenging shoot required great stamina and precision from the actors to perform multiple takes of extended scenes involving lots of movement and timing. Total, the film's budget was around $90 million. A huge investment that allowed the technically complex production to come to life ambitiously. The result of all these efforts was an exceptionally crafted and impactful war film that felt breathtakingly real and different from anything before. The production challenges paid off for the visual masterpiece that is 1917. This channel is not monetized, so make sure to check our sponsor which support us running the channel.